it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. Thank you very much for joining me again today. For those who don't know me, I am a UK-based Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. So today I have got this slightly different project for you. It's a Christmas card, but it's that sort of rustic look using vellum and linen thread to get that, as I say, that kind of rustic look that is very Nordic, I think. So let me show you how I made it. And I've just realised I don't think I've kept the stamp set out. No, I have. It's fine. I have. So I'm using the dry brush background stamp, which is in the annual catalogue. And I'm going to be using that with cinnamon cider onto some crumb cake. Oops, no, it's not in there. Everything I need is in here. I knew I'd buried them away somewhere. So I've got a basic Whisper White card base. That's the thick Whisper White. I've already done my die cutting because die cutting's not the most interesting thing. So I have got a standard crumb cake mat. That's standard for me, so that's 5 5/8 by 3 7/8. The dimensions will be on my website, and the link to my website for this post is immediately below in the description bar. I've got some little stars that are also stamped with the same dry brush background stamp. But I've layered these up. I will show you the dies that I've used in a moment when I can remember where I've put them. I've got a piece of vellum which is 5 3/8 by 3 5/8, I think. And then a vellum star and a dry brush crumb cake star. Now, where did I put the dies? There they are. So I'm using dies from the annual catalogue, and they're the stitched star dies. You get masses, and I've used, I think it's this star, and then the middle star, just for the solid baby star. So well worth having a look at the annual catalogue for items too. Christmas isn't only in the mini catalogue. So let me show you how I did the background, because I didn't do full strength. It seemed too dark. So I've mounted up my dry brush background onto my Stamparatus. I've got my cinnamon cider ink, which is that lovely rustic colour. And I'm just going to ink this up. And then I'm going to get some scrap paper and remove some of the ink. But let's get this nicely inked up first. I have got a very, very juicy cinnamon cider ink pad. If yours isn't as juicy as mine, you may not need to take some of the ink off. But as I say, mine is incredibly juicy. Not complaining, but it is, whoops, it is incredibly juicy, so I need to remove some of that ink. So I've just got a scrap of paper, and all I'm going to do is stamp that down just to remove some of the ink, and you can see lots of ink. Just hoping I've got enough left now. Right, so I'm going to just add a tiny bit of seal to the back of my grid paper. That's the word I'm looking for. And I'm going to pop this down. I'm just going to make sure that's about where I want it. And probably go a little bit further across. And then get that down. No, we need to come down a bit. Down a bit. See, if I'd have been sensible, I should have used my grid paper for the rough paper, and then I would know exactly where I was stamping. That's better. Now, I find that using the sleeve of my jumper is a really good way of getting some good pressure on the back of the stamp. It's a big old stamp, so you're going to want a lot of pressure. And let's have a look. Yeah, I need a bit more pressure. probably taken too much of the ink off, so if we need to we can re-ink and have another go. Yes, I'm going to re-ink and give it another go. Because it's in the Stamparatus, it's not going to move. So we'll re-ink. And just close that up again. Pop my scrap of paper over where we were. Just give it a gentle amount of pressure to remove any real excess. And then come back in again with my sleeve. Most of this is going to be covered up with the vellum, which is why I want it to be a reasonably dark stamp, but not so dark as to be really, really dark. Yeah, I think that is going to be fine. I'm going to move it slightly and just see if I can get a little bit kind of on the edge here. I've not done a particularly good job of stamping on the top. Still haven't. It's fine. It will be fine. So remove my plate, pop that down to clean later. So we have our card base, we have our stamped background, and we've got all our little bits. So this is going to go on here like this, and I'm actually going to turn it so that the bit that I didn't manage to get stamped is at the bottom, because it won't be quite as obvious then. Right, so the first bit to attach is your crumb cake piece at an angle. So if you see here, I've got this angle just for a bit of difference really, and then I've got the vellum straight on top of that, but then the star, the vellum is offset, so it's just to get a bit of dimension, bit of texture. So we want this so that it's at a very slight angle. Tombow is really good for this because it does give you that wiggle room. And I'm just going to turn over and press. And there we have our angle. This is going to go over the top, but obviously vellum is going to be difficult to put adhesive on because it's going to show through. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually pop the star on, and I want it sort of towards the top half and again at a slight angle. Now because we're working on vellum, I'm going to work with Seal Plus because it's a really strong adhesive. So as vellum is not terribly good at absorbing moisture, I don't really think the liquid adhesive will be the best thing. So I'm going to hold my vellum where I think I need it and then pop this on at an angle, yeah, kind of like that I think. Right, now the next thing I'm going to do is actually to stamp my sentiments. So I've got just a strip of Whisper White, and I'm using stamps from the, let me grab it, from the Peace and Joy stamp set, and I'm having Merry Christmas as my 2 stamps. And again, I'm going to do that in cinnamon cider to keep that rustic look going. And I'm just going to ink up, being careful not to over ink or over press, and just stamp that onto the Whisper White. And then the same with the Christmas. And again, I don't want it over inked or over pressed, because you can end up losing the words if you do either of those. And obviously you don't want to do both. Those are going to be a little bit damp, but we'll keep going anyway. And I'm just going to cut these out by hand. They're straight edges, so they're pretty straightforward to, pardon the pun, to cut. And then Christmas. So, Merry and Christmas. There we go. Right, okay. So, next thing I'm going to do is pop those onto some dimensionals, which I had. There we go. And I'm going to use the edge piece of my dimensionals, but I'm going to cut the half dimensional that's along that edge away because I just want this narrow strip. Now you could use the adhesive foam strips that we've got, but they are a little thicker. So if you're going to want to post this, certainly in the UK, if you want to post this as a standard letter, you don't want to use the adhesive strips because they are actually fatter than the gap that you have to get your envelope through. So not the best thing to do. So that's Christmas. And then, let's see, just need about that length, I think. And Merry. And I'm going to pop those onto my vellum because then I can add some adhesive underneath. So this is my vellum star from the Stitch Stars again. And again, I'm going to offset that slightly. I'm going to attach Christmas first. And I want Christmas to be straight, well, I want both of them to be straight onto the card. So I want to kind of imagine a straight line across here. And then I'm just going to, that looks about straight. I'm not pressing this end down because that's got adhesive that I don't want to stick just yet. And then Merry, again, I'm going to have straight to the card. So I can line that up to Christmas. And so long as it's straight to Christmas, then so long as Christmas is straight, so is everything else. Right, okay, so those are going to go there, just slightly offset, but we're also going to have our little stars. Now I've stacked these up, so this is one layer, this is two, and this is three layers, so there's some dimension. And all I'm going to do is decide where I want those to be, and just pop a little dot of glue. That's not going to be quite there, it's going to be there. A little dot of glue wherever I want one of those to be. And then with my Take Your Pick tool, I can pick them up. I'm going to have my one layer on my star. And then that one there. And that one up there. Don't worry if the glue squishes out because it will dry clear. And then, so that we've got some more anchor points, I'm going to use some of the snowflake adhesive backed snowflakes. What do we call it? Yes, adhesive backed snowflakes. These are the iridescent rather than the white ones. I think these are technically just jade, but for me they're iridescent. They do have that sort of slightly green hue to them. And again, I'm just going to pop those wherever I think I want an anchor point for my vellum pieces, because then we can add adhesive behind them and hide it. So quite a nice little tip. Just wherever you think you're going to need some adhesive to stick your vellum down, that's where you want your stars to be. You don't want them all over. And I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I've got my odd numbers. I like odd numbers. I've got 3 of the card stars. And then I can, let's take that off for the moment. I can turn this over. And again, I'm going to get some Seal Plus here. Oh, I think I've got a delivery just arriving. That's always exciting, particularly as I think it's a brown box delivery, which is even more exciting because that means it's from UPS. which means it's from Stampin' Up. I can hear crashing in the background. It may not be. I may have to contain myself. So I'm just popping a little bit of adhesive behind wherever there is something on the front of the vellum. I'm just adding some adhesive on the back. Oh no, it's not, it's salt for our water softener. How exciting. Not quite as exciting as the UPS man. Right, so this I want straight to my card, as in my crumb cake card. And just pop that down. And then for this, again, I'm just going to add liquid adhesive to the back wherever I've got something to cover it up from the front. If that makes sense. Whoops, let's actually put the lid on, as opposed to imagine to put the lid on. So this, again, I'm going to offset so that the Merry Christmas is straight to the background card, so the white card, and just hold that down for a moment. So there we are, that's that. And then for the bow, I've got 3 lengths of linen thread, and I'm just going to tie a double bunny ears bow, just trying to keep my eye on where the loops are versus the end. So that's an end, these are loops. You can cut the loops on the ends if you want at this stage, so that you don't get too confused by what is what or which is which. But there we go. One nice linen thread bow. Trim the ends. Now, while I'm finishing this off, if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'd be thrilled if you would. There's a button in the bottom right hand corner, and that's all you need to do is just click on that, and you will subscribe if you want an alert for when I post videos, because I don't post videos on a kind of regular basis. I post them at least once a week, but throughout the week. So if you want an alert, then obviously hit the alert bell as well. So I've just put a glue dot on the back of that. I'm just going to tuck that. We'll go a bit sideways-ish. So click the alert bell as well. If you've enjoyed the video and the project, please give it a thumbs up. Always thrilled to have comments and questions. You can leave those in the comment section, which is below the description bar. If you're in the UK and would like to buy any of these products, you will find those listed over on my website, which, as I say, is linked in the description bar just below the video. So there we are, a rustic Christmas card. Quick and easy to put together. Do remember to go and have a look at the annual catalogue for the stars. And yeah, have a fantastic week, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye!